back with another edition of the Weekend Tailgate. Today, we finish up with the freshman class. Which defensive players are going to be contributors in year one?
This is the Weekend Tailgate. Brought to you by Golden's Cast Iron. C-Dub. Like Joe. Be Will. By G. You are now listening to
The Weekend Tailgate, brought to you by the good folks at Golden's Cast Iron. Whether you work out, grill out, or chill out, they got something there for you. Make sure you use code Get Your Weight Up for 15% off of your weights. Code TWR for $65 off of fire pits and Kamado grills. You can support us as well directly by becoming a member of the War Rapport community. Green Name Gang, what up? Get in here and get this great film review. Or maybe you want to just kick back and chill and talk to your boy Ike Jones doing office hours, something like that. You could do that. And then we got firesides coming up this summer. If we can get those things booked, you get early access to stuff like that when we do those. So make sure that you get your Green Name Gang active, or maybe somebody's going to gift you a membership and get a free month of membership on them. You can also support other people that have things affiliated with us, and that is our War Rapport podcast community in the network. We are the Auburn Express, the Uptempo Podcast, College Loop, and Just a Sec Pods, all under the War Rapport brand. So make sure you check out those different YouTube channels and podcasts. And if you're out there in the podcast world and you just want to listen to audio only, we got you covered there as well. In here with my guy, C-Dub. Mike G will be joining us at some point in time today. But C, last week we talked about the offensive and special teams, the freshmen that we thought were going to contribute in our 2025 edition of Start, Bench, Redshirts. We want to continue that conversation talking about defense. Before we get into the defensive players from this year, we're going to do what we did last time and go look back at the folks from last year that we talked about. Let's begin with a guy who got a lot of playing time last year towards the end of the year, DeMarcus Riddick. Do you remember what you said about DeMarcus Riddick?
Absolutely not. I barely remember what I remember a week ago. What did I say last year?
Last year, C had him redshirting. Yeah. Don't worry, I was with you. I thought he was going to redshirt as well. Yeah, had DeMarcus Riddick on the redshirt list. Mike G was the one who said he would be coming off of the bench. He did eventually start, so nobody was actually right, I don't guess, about that. But
Mike was close, though. Mike was closer than we were. And I think for me, I think it had nothing to do with talent, like as much as it did. I felt like he was undersized, and I felt like just a year in a new defensive system he could have benefited from. But again, his talent was just so undeniable to where when he got on the field, he made things happen.
Yeah, and absolutely.
We saw him work his way into the starting role, and now he's one of the guys going into this year. So kudos to him. I was glad to be wrong about him.
For sure. And this year, I think he's going to be a starter day one. So looking forward to DeMarcus Riddick, who's working his way back from a little surgery he had during the offseason, but all signs point to him being ready to go this fall.
Listen, not only is he starting, but are we talking all SEC when it's all said and done after this year? Like, what does he take that next step? Not just being a starter, but being a guy who's truly an athlete that the SEC recognizes. So I'm curious to see how close he gets to his ceiling.
Yes, sir. Next up, Jamonte Waller. I said bench for him. You said bench for him. And Mike said redshirt. He eventually redshirted. That was mostly due to injury, though, right? Like he was probably going to play a little bit, but the injury situation had him on a redshirt.
Yeah. Okay. Who else we got?
Next up, we have Joe Phillips. Everybody had him redshirting. He did indeed redshirt last year.
Yeah, and I think it was weird with him, because I think we had him as a linebacker. He was listed as a linebacker. I think he was recruited to play edge. And then for me, it was if he was going to be an edge player, Auburn was pretty stacked at that position. So I felt like he was going to be a redshirt guy, talented guy as well. I'm looking to see him crack the playing rotation this year.
It's gonna be tough, man. He's a guy who has a lot, like, for the room that he's in, right? So he is slated this
Is he
year
still
to
edge?
be. Yeah, he's gonna be in that buck room. Keyron Crawford is there. Chris Murray, the transfer over from Sam Houston State, there, and Jamonte Waller, who we just mentioned, there in that room. I am wondering, when is Joe Phillips gonna get his opportunities, man? So it's a tough room to crack because they have so much talent in that room. But Joe definitely is one of the talented guys there.
They were to wrestle him away from Georgia. I remember that recruitment. So obviously he came with a lot of hype, a lot of excitement around him. Eager to see how he shakes out in the 2D.
For sure. Next up, TJ Lindsey. I'm not gonna lie, I was very disappointed in this one. I did have him as a redshirt. I think all three of us had him as redshirt, and he did indeed redshirt. But I thought he was going to be a guy going into year 2 that was going to be a contributor there along the defensive line. He, of course, has hit the transfer portal. I believe he's at Purdue now. But TJ Lindsey no longer with Auburn, but did redshirt last season.
He will be contributing this upcoming year, just not in an Auburn jersey. So
sure.
we wish him all the best.
All right. This is the one everybody was wrong on, and so dreadfully wrong. Jay Crawford. We all said redshirt for him, and that could not be further from what actually happened with.
Now, are you sure? Are you sure I didn't say?
I'm positive. I looked at the film.
Well,
I watched film.
Listen, again, you had Champ Anthony, you had a few other guys ahead of him who were expected to contribute, and due to injury, it opened the door for Jay Crawford to come in and really take that position, get a chokehold on that position. And so it just worked out for the young man. Kudos to him. But yeah, in a perfect world, Champ Anthony would have been that dude as a cornerback, playing, staying healthy and whatnot. So yeah. I think, didn't Scott get injured? Scott was ahead of him too, right?
Yeah, Keontae Scott was the starting outside corner, and for a mix of injury and just the play wasn't up to where it needed to be.
Yeah, it is a lot went wrong ahead of him for him to get that opportunity. So it was
when
the
he
reason
got it,
why
he didn't relinquish it though. That's the thing. Like, no,
that's true.
Because Keontae Scott was healthy towards the end of the year, and they didn't throw him back out there. They weren't like, maybe you need to go back to Keontae. It was like, nah. We're good.
Nah,
we got Crawford. No. We straight.
We good.
We straight, bro. And y'all know I'm a Keontae guy, so I'm not throwing no shade at Keontae. Next up, Malik Blockton. Everybody had him listed as a bench contributor, as a guy who would be rotating in off of the bench. And I don't know, but was he ever like officially a starter? Or he definitely played a healthy amount of minutes. So,
he was a bench guy.
Yeah, I'll give us all the correct answer on that one. One that we were all dead wrong about. I don't even want. Because I love the player so much now. Looking back, when I talk about this, it makes my heart hurt. Is Caleb Harris. We all said he was going redshirt, and Caleb Harris was a starter for sure last year for Auburn. At that,
he was starting like middle of the season.
He balled the entire year, and we were all very wrong about Caleb Harris there. He ended up starting last season. Next up, we have Faustin, who all said he would redshirt. He eventually actually worked his way onto the field as a bench contributor last year. So Kinsley Faustin played quite a bit towards the end of the year. Again, you had some injuries in the secondary, and he worked his way out there onto the field and was a solid contributor for you. DJ Barber, myself, C-Dub said redshirt. Mike G said coming off the bench, he was going to get some time.
He said that?
He did say that. I was actually surprised, but when I went back and looked, I was like, oh, wow. He advocated pretty heavily. He thought DJ Barber was going to get an opportunity to play at linebacker.
I'm a DJ fan too. I'm a DJ fan too. So
yeah.
I thought he had the size. I thought he was ready, like at least from a physicality standpoint, he was ready. So yeah.
Amon Lane Gaines or Gaines Lane. I can't remember what. Either way, we all said redshirt for him, and he did indeed redshirt last year. And then Amaris Williams, all of us had him down as a redshirt guy, but he actually burned his redshirt last year and got an opportunity to play before he had some injury stuff as well that had him sidelined towards the end of the year. He was a pretty frequent contributor. So not bad, other than being very wrong on Caleb Harris and Mike G being the only one right on DeMarcus Riddick. Wasn't too bad.
Not bad.
Well, and then Mike G being very wrong on DJ Barber as well. So, you know.
Hold on. Wait. There was another one in there I was right about before I hopped in there.
That you were solely right about?
Yeah, after DeMarcus Riddick.
No.
Nope.
You were the one after Riddick was Waller, and you said redshirt, and he burned it. No, you said redshirt, and we all said, and you were right about that. So yeah,
that's right.
All right, so that was last year's list.
Injury.
That was last year's list.
There,
let's talk about this year's list of freshmen there on the defensive side. Unless anybody had any additional thoughts from last year's crop of defenders that eventually ended up being a really good group and now going to be solid contributors up and down that defensive team for our guy Durkin in his second year. Now has some second-year players that are going to be really contributing for him.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say about this group, right? Like they actually had a very, very impactful role on this season on defense. And it's part of what fuels a lot of the optimism that I have about the defense coming up this year is you had so many young guys that played and did well and developed, and they're all returning. And, you know, if you've got that to build on, then – you know, why wouldn't anybody be optimistic about this defense? You know, there were a lot of people in our comment section after some of the recent defensive videos that we did saying they were terrible and you can't be bad at this and then good at this. And, you know, it was like, all right, like nobody is sitting here saying they were perfect last year, but they were a solid top 25 defense with a bunch of freshmen who played.
Yeah.
You know, yes, we understand third down defense was not good and has to get better. But that's what you would expect from a bunch of freshmen. So, like I said, the amount of guys that did play, you know, some guys got held back due to injury, and they are developing on that side of the ball. Everything I hear coming out of that defense right now, all the reports out of that defense is they feel really good about where they're at. I don't know how you watched them last year, and you know you're not optimistic. Like it's one of the things that I don't get about the folks. Again, in the comment section saying, oh, well, this can't be a good defense because they weren't good at third down defense. Well, okay, do you not think they're going to get better at that this year? Right? Like,
I would certainly hope so because
are they not
last year
accounting for them getting better? They were a bunch of freshmen. And so now they're 1 year more experience. And I have to think that everything I've heard about Durkin and the way he likes to teach, they know that. They know they weren't good at third down defense. They probably hammered that home this spring. I'd be surprised if they talked about anything else.
Yeah.
There was a certain writer that said, when you look at the numbers, Auburn was 2012 levels of bad on third down defense. Now, if you don't remember what 2012 was like, I don't blame you. I tried to forget it too. 3-9. And they almost lost. Remember Auburn almost losing to Utah State? Had to recover an onside kick to save the game. That team was bad. And so any comparison to them is not good. I get it. But they know. They know they weren't good. And I have to believe that with a year's more experience and a chance to go back and look at the film and teach, that they're going to be much better on third down this year. Just because it was a concern last year, especially when you're dealing with a young group of guys, does not mean it will be a concern this year. And those were a bunch of juniors and seniors, some guys exercising their fifth year to come back and they were bad on third down. I might agree with you. But with the amount of youth Auburn had, I don't get the pessimism around it at all.
Yeah. Corrections from the chat here. The Utah State game was 2011, apparently. Not
was that? Oh, okay. All right. My bad, guys. That was still. Whew.
That's even more painful.
Yeah, that's right. That was the year after Cam Newton. That was after we failed to secure Russell Wilson, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Mm.
I think we had Trotter. We ended up with Trotter.
No. That was Kyle Frazier.
Was it Kyle Frazier?
Was that not Kyle Frazier? I think he was the one who recovered the onside kick.
And then it ended up being Trotter because Kyle Frazier ended up not making it.
Yeah.
I've erased all memories of Kyle Frazier from my brain. So.
Yeah, me too, obviously me too. Because
if you're asking me to remember details of games that included Kyle Frazier, I don't have them for you.
No, again, can't say I blame you.
Poor kid. Yeah, and I know you guys. Before we get into it, I know you guys talked about is this defense overrated on the last slide during the midweek report, and I think. You can make that argument if people were claiming that this defense was elite. No one was claiming that Auburn's defense was elite, but Auburn's defense was serviceable and it was pretty good at times. And with a good defense, there are going to be more flaws as compared to a dominant defense like you've seen over at a Georgia or other schools known for defense. I mean, I think this defense is coming around. I think they have a lot of talent, and I think that's really what I'm excited about, Mike, is that it used to be Auburn was getting the most out of its talent, even though Auburn wasn't recruiting at an elite level. Now you're recruiting at an elite level and you have the coaching staff to get the most out of these kids. You can't help but to be optimistic about the ceiling of this defense moving forward. And so I expect them to correct some of the things that we saw last year. Third down defense, fourth down defense, starting with that red zone defense, all of those things. And so I expect this defense to take another step and really work towards being dominant, because now there's really no excuse, Mike. You got the coaches, you got the talent, you got the players. Go out and dominate.
Yeah. Y'all really don't like Clint Mosley and Barrett Trotter, huh? Wow.
Man, they're bringing out them names. Trotter, Mosley.
There's a lot. I stirred up a lot of hurt this morning. Good God. We got to have church to heal some of y'all.
Old Barrett.
Yeah. I mean, listen, those weren't those just weren't good teams. They just, I mean, like they just were. I mean, there's no sugarcoating how bad the teams were during that time frame. And it was kind of inexplicable though, because you had talent. I think that's the frustrating thing about last year, right? It's like, the talent is not equivalent to how poorly this team is playing together on the field. And so you're left scratching your head like, why is this product so terrible? Because then you're 1 year removed from that, right? From 2012 to 2013, going to a national title, and you're like, these are a lot of the same dudes. Like, why was it so bad the year before, right? And so it's frustrating because you're watching a product that doesn't seem to be equivalent. Like it's almost like you got all the ingredients right there to make something really good, and then you smell somebody in there cooking, you're like, oh, this is gonna be real. And you taste it, you're like, well, what were you in there cooking this entire time with all these wonderful ingredients? And so I think last year that's kind of what we got. We just got something where you like, man, the ingredients look dope. Boy, they finna be in there killing it. And this chef is known to prepare good food because you've seen them prepare good food before. And then you taste it and you're like, nah, fam, this is not what I paid for. This can't be the same stuff I paid for right here.
Burning food, leaving it on the stove too long, and it's terrible.
And so this year you're hoping they chefing up a little something better for us to be able to feast on this season, because again, the ingredients are there. You got all the stuff necessary to make a good meal. Can we please get the chef on his
but
job.
I'm telling you, these folks in the comments acting like Auburn burnt the mac and cheese at Thanksgiving.
They did.
You know, they didn't burn the mac and cheese. There might not have been enough cheese in it, but they ain't burn it.
Oh, you're talking about last year? Did they burn
last
the mac
year.
and cheese?
Yeah, I'm talking last year.
I don't know, fam.
They
It was
burned
a little,
the mac and cheese on defense.
it's a little watery.
The offense burnt it.
They might.
That's what they're
dropped,
talking about.
They might have dropped a few raisins in the potato salad. I ain't gonna hold you.
They made stuffing instead of
who let Patty in here? She put raisins.
They didn't make dressing. They made stuffing on offense.
Could have used a little more seasoning, if you know what I'm saying. Last year, I feel like it's a little under seasoned. You know what I'm saying? Like,
who heated up the potato salad?
Yo,
oh God, oh God,
who brought the hot potato salad? Oh,
so yeah. I understand anybody who is upset about the product last year, because again, you had all the stuff to make a really good meal, man. And don't serve me this no more with these premium groceries. I went to the store.
All I'm saying is some of it was good, right? Like the turkey was deep fried and juicy, right? Like, you know, there were some things that weren't good, but you know, hell, I don't know if I've ever been to a Thanksgiving that was 100, right? Like,
oh, I have. I absolutely have.
2010
invite you over.
2010 was 100 Thanksgiving. All right.
Oh yeah.
I gave up a lot of points that year.
What would you consider the 2013 meal? Is it just the dessert was bad? Like he's like,
2013, like the pumpkin pie was messed up.
I don't even eat pumpkin pie, but I would only be mad at I thought it was sweet potato pie, and then I bit into it and it was pumpkin pie.
That's what happened to you in 2013, right? You went to get some, and you was like, "Ooh, what is this?"
No, with the 2013, what it has, like the defense, like the greens didn't have any hot malt in it. It didn't have anything in it. It was just greens.
Yep.
Like defensively, like we couldn't stop nobody. We had to outscore people that year. Like that was
I'm feeling. Yeah. Scoring defense was mistake. Fiddling. Somebody
we
showed
had to
up,
outscore,
stunk up the whole room.
That's why, Mike, when Trey Mason scored that touchdown in the championship game, and I looked and saw what was left, I was like, "Oh God,
yeah,
why did he break that run the way he did?" I mean,
yeah,
too much time.
Yeah, it was bad. It was bad. All the Thanksgiving talk making me hungry. It's only June.
All right, let's get into this year's crop of defensive players. And which of these freshmen this year, guys, do we think are going to be day one contributors or year one contributors, and which ones are going to continue to have that red shirt attached to their name when we get to the next season? Let's look at this list of folks that we've got here. Let's start it off in the safety room with Eric Winters. What are your thoughts on young Eric Winters? Start, bench, or red shirt?
They like Winters a lot.
I like Winters a lot. I think
they like Winters a lot.
He had a good spring, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah. I'm gonna go with Vince here. They like Winters a lot.
Okay, so we'll play. We'll burn the red shirt, but maybe not start. Gotcha.
So we know Caleb Harris has locked up one of those spots, right?
For sure.
Sylvester Smith, he's still around.
Mm-hmm.
You got Amon Lane Gannis, who's still around.
Mm-hmm.
Kinsley Faustin.
Mm-hmm.
Like those are the guys who are in contention. I got him as coming off the bench.
Yeah. Don't sleep on Winters.
I got him coming off the bench.
Good.
The guy that I'm curious to see how he stacks out is the next guy in this list is Fagans. That's what I'm curious about, how he's going to stack, because I really have him as coming off the bench too. But I'm like, you can only play two safeties at a time, right, guys?
Yes. I mean, you could move him to some other spot that's not safety, like he could play nickel or something like that. Yes.
That's what I'm like. I like Fagans, man. I really do.
Yeah, I think by the end of this year, Fagans will be a starter. I've got winners coming off of the bench. I think Fagans may work himself into a starting spot.
But yeah, I got Fagans coming off the bench, but I really feel like everything in me wants to say start. Like, I mean, they like Eric Winters a lot. They love AnQuan Fagans.
Let me ask you this, gentlemen:
Is there I think Hugh Freeze actually mentioned him during our interview specifically?
I'm intrigued by that, Ike, and by him starting, because really the other safety spot is up for grabs, right?
I mean, I guess if you consider the only thing that would, in my mind, make this change is if Tay Seymour, the guy who transferred in, is going to be someone who they trust to put in that spot a little bit more. But yeah, Sylvester Smith is the other safety out there, and but I think Fagans is just so freaking talented, man. And so I don't know. I think Sylvester Smith has it on lock right now, but I think
I don't know if Sylvester really got it like that. I don't know if he got it. I don't know if he has a stranglehold on it like Caleb Harris has it on his spot. I'm gonna say it that way.
Okay.
Right?
Okay. That's fair.
There's no doubt that Caleb Harris has one spot locked up. I don't know if you can say that about Sylvester Smith. So yeah. I like the argument. I'm actually going to go with Fagans being the starter. I'm gonna go starter for Fagans.
Okay. Oh wow. Okay.
I'm gonna go starter for Fagans. I think we're gonna have back-to-back. I think we're gonna have back-to-back Thompson boys taking over the safety spot. So I'm gonna go with that. I'm gonna go with Fagans.
Not mad at it. Not mad at it. Devin Williams at cornerback. What are we feeling about the young man there?
Redshirt.
Yeah, I'm gonna go redshirt for Devin.
Yeah, I think I am going to go redshirt for him as well. And this has more to do with some of the other guys that are on this list. Next up, Donovan Starr. What are we thinking about him?
Donovan is good, but I'm going to go like that secondary. I'm going to go bench.
Okay.
He's a bench. Yeah, I'll say y'all some trouble. Same would be bench.
Woodby's bench. I definitely got Woodby bench coming off the bench. Starr.
I'm going to say redshirt on Starr, and I will agree that bench that Woodby's going to get some playing time coming off of the bench.
See, this is tricky though, because I think this is one of those asterisk one where he can end up coming off the bench due to injury, because this is a position group that has dealt with injuries over the past few seasons. Unless something changes, I'm going to go with bench. I'm going to go bench for Donovan Starr. I think some unforeseen circumstances pushes him in, but I think he's fully capable.
All right. And what did you say for Blake Woodby? You said bench for him. See?
Yeah.
All right. That rounds out our defensive backfield, which I think those guys, listen, it's a tough group to try to get playing time, but I do think because there's going to be a bit of rotation there. I like Blake Woodby a lot. I like AnQuan Fagans a lot. I think those guys will get their opportunities to be able to contribute in year one. Eric Winters, I think, will get his opportunity as well. Like I said, Williams and Starr, to me, I think will maybe, I'm saying Ed Darby brings up a good point. Maybe if they burn their red shirt, for me, it might be in special teams more so than it would be like starting at one of the safety or corner spots. But I think redshirting might be the fate for those young men, because I love the additions that they've had in Strader and Tay Seymour as transfers over. And I think that changes the math a little bit for some of those guys as well. So, all right, next up, we get into the linebacking core. We want to take a break right here. We want to go ahead and push through into these linebacker folks.
We can take a break.
Let's take a break.
All right. Well, You guys are watching this wonderful edition of the Weekend Tailgate. Make sure if you are watching this live that you go ahead and share the content with somebody. Make sure that you are liking this video right now while we go to break. And if you're not subscribed, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Maybe even go ahead and get your membership active, and you can get all the benefits that we have from that. But we will be right back after a quick word from our sponsors. Again, you are watching the Weekend Tailgate. This edition of the War Report is brought to you by our generous sponsors. The Opelika Rage Room in Opelika, Alabama. The Rage Room is a place where anger and stress find their ultimate release. Call or text 334-777-6688 to set up a session today, or check them out online at opelikaRageRoom.com. Golden's Cast Iron. Whether you work out, grill out, or chill out, you deserve the best life possible, and Golden's Cast Iron is here to provide the tools to help you do it. Check them out at goldenscastiron.com.
As always,
Your mic
muted,
went out
Mike.
for some reason, Mike.
As always, want to thank our title sponsor, Golden's Cast Iron. Visit goldenscastiron.com/WR. Use code Get Your Weight Up for 15% off your weights, and code TWR for $65 off fire pits and Kamado grills. Golden's Cast Iron. Spring is here. Summer is on the way. You want to be outside with your family, making memories on the grill, or just getting in shape. Work out, grill out, chill out with Golden's Cast Iron. Also want to thank our friends at the Rogue Shop. Visit rogueshop.com. Use code Rapport to get 15% off your Rogue Shop order. Pain, sleep, stress, anxiety, whatever else you in life, the Rogue Shop has something that has you covered. I got Richard, longtime sponsor of the show. We appreciate him for sponsoring this segment. And guys, look, as I mentioned, get that Patreon membership, $5.99 a month will get you there. Just smash that join button, join our community. SCC Media Days is almost here. We're going to be bringing you guys lots of great content live from Atlanta, so you don't want to miss out on that. Again, hit that join button. You can also give the gift of the War Report by hitting that gifted membership button. Let's see if we can get 20 given away before the end of today's show. Appreciate you guys for doing that. Also, check us out on podcasts, all the podcast platforms. We are there with the Auburn Express, Up-Tempo, College Loop, and Just a Sec pods, bringing you guys lots of great audio-only content. This is a great way to support our content simply by going to your favorite podcast platform, turning on automatic downloads. This helps us a ton. Whether you have time to listen immediately or not, it still helps us that you have automatic downloads turned on. So help us out there. Just subscribe, turn those downloads on, and help us rise the podcast charts. Guys, go to thewarreport.com and get your War Report merch today. Thewarreport.com. We've got lots of great stuff in here for you guys. I've been seeing you out in the community with our stuff on, so we appreciate you for supporting us through the merch store. Again, thewarreport.com, hashtag Get Your Weight Up today.
Yes, indeed. And thank you to everybody who is out here watching live with us. We got live chats popping off here. James Barnett is a fan of AnQuan. Fagans says New Boy is the real deal. Definitely a lot of people feel as if he is going to be a dynamic addition for this team on defense. I'm looking forward to seeing how this defense rounds into form with all listen, we talk about how young they were last year. They're still young, right? Like they're sophomores, but they're still, young. A lot of them rounding into form now. And then they've got backups that are true freshmen behind them. So can still see some bumps along the way with this team, but I am definitely optimistic about the direction that it's taken from a talent perspective. That talent floor is definitely raised in all of those rooms. Aunt Robinson says that we were missing the whole main course last year.
What? That's crazy. On offense, yes, I would agree.
Ed Darby says,
you know what the main course is? It's points. Points are the main
decided
course.
to reheat the PT turkey from the previous year. It is brutal.
Yeah, reheated turkey. Look, man, the main course.
Dry,
look,
just
if
dry.
points is turkey, then we didn't have no turkey last year. There was no turkey. It was a turkeyless Thanksgiving.
Yeah, that's not okay. Aunt Robinson back in here says y'all forgetting Champ comes back this year and was playing as a monster before the injury. Definitely did not forget about that.
No,
and go revisit the conversation myself and Mike G had about the defensive backfield room, and Champ Anthony was there on that list as a person we thought would be a starter this season. So he is not forgotten at all, at least not by the folks here at the War Report. All right. Let's get back over into the conversation, continuing where we left off. That is not it right there. Hold on. Let me get my stuff together. Let me get it together. Boom. There we go. Going back in here, talking about linebacker, start, bench, redshirt. First name on the list, Elijah Melendez, linebacker, already built like a grown man. Is he going to get some grown man minutes this season?
Yeah, I got him coming off the bench. Yeah. Ooh, boy. I want to throw my boy in the starting lineup.
Over who?
It don't matter. And some folks who just believe in him.
But you also believe in Riddick, so that means
I do. He's different. Elijah is different. I'm gonna put him on the bench.
I mean, as an opportunity, I mean, there's another inside linebacker.
Yeah.
Woodyard is the other guy. Would Melendez be able to get minutes there instead of Woodyard?
Man, yeah, he's coming off the bench, but boy, will he be off the bench fast.
Yeah, I like the starters that they have right now. I think it's Woodyard's time. I think that Riddick is ready. I do like Melendez coming off the bench. Who knows? He could be starting by the end of the year. You just never know. Again, injuries can play a huge factor here. He can have an opportunity and never relinquish it. But I do like him coming off the bench just because I just think from a depth standpoint, Auburn needs some bodies. And so I think there's a plenty of opportunities for him to see the field. And so unless injuries prevent him from doing that, I fully expect him to be playing this year.
Yeah, I'm gonna say bench for him as well. But I am a fan of the athleticism he brings to the position.
100%.
And so I'm looking forward to seeing what he's going to be able to do. That's a room that includes aforementioned redshirt guy, DJ Barber, who did not get his opportunities last year. And then Xavier Atkins, the transfer over from LSU, is also out there in that linebacker room. So
he's undersized though. So I'm curious how he's going to stack out though. Are you concerned about that?
I mean, I think that there are some concerns there for his size, but listen, if you can play, you can play. And then Caleb Wheatland, who I have not mentioned yet, the Maryland transfer, is somebody who I thought was going to be in the starting rotation there at one of the linebacker spots, potentially in front of Robert Woodyard, playing that Mike linebacker. So, it's a tough room to get minutes in, but I do believe that Melendez will have his opportunities because of the rotations that will happen there. I think one of those guys is going to need to be on the field for the vast majority of the game because they'll be having the green dot calling the signals and stuff like that. But they may rotate that other spot a little bit more frequently. And I think he's got the kind of athleticism that they say, hey, let's just put him out here in sub package form and get him on the field. Next up on the list, the brother of Keldrick Faulk, JJ Faulk. How are we feeling about JJ?
Redshirt. Definitely redshirt.
I want to say bench, but I'm gonna go with redshirt.
Yeah.
Okay.
Somebody got a redshirt.
I think I'm going to put him on red shirt just because of all the stuff we just talked about with that linebacker room and how many people I think that he'd have to get reps in front of. I think for year one for him is going to be red shirting it until he gets his opportunity.
Was he a summer enrollee or was he here in spring?
That's a good question. I actually do not remember. I want to say he was here in the spring, but I actually don't remember. Somebody in the chat will definitely get us together on that. But I actually don't recall whether he was a spring early enrollee or not. I think he was, but don't quote me. Bryce Deas.
Red shirt.
I think he's going to play.
Is that how you pronounce his last name? Deas?
I think it is. And I know the jokes that will proceed from that, but I think it is pronounced Deas.
Okay. All right. I ain't ready for the jokes. I'm a red shirt, my guy, Bryce. Put these on
he's
the bench.
talented. There it is. Yeah, I don't know. I see some people, Ed Darby saying not Ed Darby, but I've seen some people mention that he may be special teams guy.
Ant Robinson said special
Ant saying
teams
that.
start. I think he's gonna burn his red shirt. I've got him getting playing time this year.
Somewhere.
Yeah.
I ain't mad at it. I'm gonna go with red shirt for now.
Yeah, me too.
All right. Darrion Smith. This one's an interesting one for me. Darrion Smith.
Are we in D-line now, right?
Yeah. Going into the defensive line room here. Darrion Smith. Guys who he is fighting for playtime around here is names like Malik Blockton and Zeke Walker. What are we feeling about Darrion Smith out there?
Red shirt.
I think I'm gonna go red shirt here as well. I think this one's tough though. Like he is one because I think they want to rotate defensive line so much. I wonder about it, but I think I'm gonna go red shirt for right now.
I'm going red shirt.
All right. Next up, another difficult one. Actually, this one's not difficult for me. I think he's gonna play Jordan Crawford. Jordan Crawford, to me, is a guy that will play at that nose tackle position for Auburn next season. He is an absolute beast there.
Yeah, I'm going to bench for Crawford. For sure.
Yeah, I don't think he starts, but I think he will definitely play.
Yeah, he plays.
Bench.
Yeah, Jordan Crawford, I think he's a grown man already. And he's going to be a terror there.
I think a lot of people were the most excited about this guy off from the D-line class, just because of how physically ready he appears to be. So I'm definitely going bench for him.
Next up, another guy who a lot of people were excited about, Malik Autry.
Bench.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and I am saying bench for him, and he is the part of the reason why I had Darrion Smith redshirting, because I think of the two freshmen there on the interior defensive line, or the three freshmen, I should say, that were on the interior defensive line, I think the other two will get more playing time than Smith will. And so I have those two getting bench and him and Smith being a redshirt.
Agreed.
All right. And then for the defensive ends, we have Antonio Coleman and Jared Smith. What are we thinking about those two young men?
These are two very, very talented DNs, by the way.
I don't see a lot of defensive ends on this roster. I want to see bench for both of them. Yeah.
So, I mean, Keldrick Faulk, Amaris Williams.
He's listed as a defensive line. Like, I think they use Keldrick Faulk like in so many ways across that defensive line. So, yeah, you can add Keldrick Faulk to defensive end there.
Yeah. Keldrick Faulk typically is going to be playing opposite of wherever the buck is going to be.
And then you got Amaris Williams.
Amaris Williams is the other guy there. And then they said Coleman and
bench
Smith
for both of them. Bench for both of them.
So you think both of those guys burn their red shirt?
Yes, especially if they're up to it, if they're as good as advertised, which I think they are. I think both of them end up playing.
Yeah, I like all the guys that they played on defense last year, but like I said, they're extremely young, and especially along the D line, that was a group that I think we all agreed was going to need some improvement this year. They had some holes to fill. You know, if they played a bunch of guys last year, I think they'll play a bunch of guys this year. Just got to remember on defense, the philosophy that DJ Durkin is employing, it rotates guys. They want to be fresh in the fourth quarter. And as long as these guys, you know, are there athletically, meaning, you know, their strength and conditioning is where it needs to be. and they know enough of it. I think I'll see a lot of these guys on the field quite a bit. So, it's a hard decision between bench and redshirt for a lot of these kids.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, you just never know how deep they're going to go on defense.
Yeah.
But, like I said, I expect both those guys to burn their red shirts. D-line's going to need help. You rotate a ton of guys at D-line, right? And you wear teams down in the fourth quarter.
I just think that you need for Keldrick Faulk, Morris Williams, you need someone to relieve those guys at certain points in the game. So those guys are going to have to be ready to go, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, I think both of those guys will get their opportunities this year. Jared Smith, to me, is the one that maybe is a little bit more likely, because I think like sub-package stuff, they'll want to bring him in. But Antonio Coleman, I think, will play as well. So I'll go bench for both of those young men, burning their red shirts in their freshman year. So we had a lot of contributors here on the defensive side that we feel like are going to get some playing time here. How do you guys feel overall about this freshman class on defense? Like, did they knock it out of the park here with these guys? Like, that's a silly question. Here's a better question for you guys. Do you worry about any of these guys saying that, they're going to hit the portal if they don't get playing time this year?
No, not this year. Not this year. And I will tell you, I'm not worried about that. Elijah Melendez is the unchallenged, unmitigated star of this group.
Okay.
I think he is the unrivaled star of this group. I think that he is the guy 2 years from now that we'll be talking about, as one of the best defensive players in the country. Every time they do, like, you know how before the game ESPN does the players, the highlight, like they do the rosters, and then they pop out. They always pop out a guy that stands out, right? It's Elijah Melendez. And and I don't say that lightly, because there's a ton of talent here, right?
Yeah, there is. And then when you said unquestioned, I was like, I don't know about unquestioned. He's going to be talented.
I got a guy every year. I have a guy every year. Last year, my guy was DeMarcus Riddick. I think he did me right. This year, my guy is Elijah Melendez. And I just think that it speaks to, because this is a really, really good group, it speaks to how well they've recruited.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of talented guys in this group. My guy in this group is Jordan Crawford. I think Jordan Crawford is amazing.
I like that pick.
Player.
I like that pick
from this group.
I'm not mad at that. I was going to go defensive line. Like, I think that
AnQuan Fagans would be a good pick too.
Yes, yeah. Fagans. Like, there's a couple of guys. I really like Eric Winters. I really like Blake Woodby. I really like Jordan Crawford. Like, those are my top three guys, and Melendez would be my fourth guy in that.
It has to be Fagans for me, because I was like, I think Fagans, when the season is up, I think Fagans will be in that starting lineup. So Fagans has to be it for me. But I think it's time, guys. I think it's high time for Auburn to have, and we've had good players along the defensive line. I miss the days where Auburn had monsters across that defensive line. Like, when y'all think of the 2019 season, and I think of what Auburn did on the road against LSU, and how LSU's lowest scoring output was because really Auburn controlled the line of scrimmage that game. I want to see Auburn get back to where they are controlling the line of scrimmage. And I think pulling in the class that they pulled this upcoming year, this freshman class, I think this class has the potential, coupled with a few other hits we've had in previous classes, they can really begin to change that narrative across the defensive line. I think Auburn has been serviceable. I think Auburn has done some good things, but I'm looking forward to Auburn truly giving offensive coordinators headaches, because they're like, how are we going to move the ball against these guys? So I'm excited to see these guys.
The Derek Brown, Marlon Davidson defensive line is sorely missed. In Auburn.
Because that was a once in a generation tandem, though. Like,
but I think there are some guys here that could bring that kind of feel back for Auburn.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
What they were
CJ
missing with that group, though, was just a can't block guy off the edge. And like, as good as Marlon Davidson was, he wasn't just like a surefire edge rusher. I don't think that they had that consistently enough on that team in 2019. If they had, then golly, man. And there were some good edge rushers there. Don't get me wrong, but it just but I think that those edge rushers were helped a lot by the fact that you've got those two beasts there on the interior defensive line, and which is why I was more disappointed in the productivity from them, because it's like you're going to get soloed so much because Marlon Davidson and Derrick Brown are on the field. Like, why are you not dominating off of the edge? And it just didn't happen consistently enough. I think that the combination of guys like Jordan Crawford that I think will demand double teams, with guys like Malik Autry and Antonio Coleman, who I think, not to mention, you've already got Keldrick Faulk there, right? So like, think about how Keldrick Faulk is in the mold of a Marlon Davidson as a defensive tackle guy that can play along the edge a little bit. And then you put a guy that in the middle of that defense that feels like he's just going to be occupying double teams. And if you don't double team him, he's blowing up stuff there in the middle. And now you've got some really good edge rushers alongside them. Could be a very dangerous defense, man. We talk about how dangerous the offense is and how many different weapons are there. This defense has got some players there, man. And I don't know. This is why I scratch my head a little bit when people are like, "Oh, the defense isn't going to be very good next year." And I'm just like, I don't think y'all realize how talented these guys are, man.
They're in the comment section of every video, reminding us about third down defense and not accounting for guys getting better year over year. I'm telling you, this group is going to get better. And I think I like how DJ Durkin is coaching them up. I think that when you take in account the player feedback, and it's not just, it's not just fluff that they're giving us here. That we've confirmed it through a bunch of third-party sources. I've seen it with my own eyes. They're good. They're developing on that side of the ball. They weren't perfect, but I wouldn't expect them to be. It's just interesting how a lot of folks just forget about the youth of this team on that side of the ball. They were young in some spots, and there were a lot of guys who did not had a ton of talent, but not a lot of experience, and it showed at times. But man, were they able to do some good things?
Yeah,
I think back to that Iron Bowl, and comparing them to the 2019 defense. What it took from a recruiting standpoint under with Rodney Gardner, those guys, to get Marlon Davidson and Derrick Brown here. Man, I'm telling you, those guys were different. It was an absolute coup to get both of them. As a matter of fact, Caesar and I think we were at the Classic during that LSU Auburn game that year.
We were.
Yeah, we were cramped into a little box watching the game at a game. But remembering what that team was like, I couldn't help but think that Auburn went 9-4 that year.
Mm-hmm.
They went 9-4, and I don't know if anybody would argue with us in saying that was a championship level defense that they had.
It was.
2019's defense was built for championships. The offense, not so much, because Auburn had Gus. However, on defense, it was really something special. And this is the most hopeful I've been about Auburn getting back to that sort of defense since 2019. I feel very, very hopeful that they can coach these guys up. But they certainly are recruiting at a much higher level. Look, Marlon Davidson, and I think Derrick Brown was a 5. I think he was a 5-star coming out. Was he a 5-star coming out of high school?
Yeah, he was.
Right. I think Marlon Davidson was like a high 4-star.
He was a 4-star. Yeah.
Yeah. But what they're doing in recruiting right now all around is actually insane. I don't think people understand. We are seeing unprecedented levels of actually good talent. Not guys who got misevaluated or overhyped. Really, really good talent that everybody would have killed to have on their squad.
Yeah.
Came to the Plains. So you're going to see that floor raised for this staff year over year. Yeah, it's been a lot of time. I know it shouldn't be off the table, but let me tell you something. Let me tell you how Hugh Freeze is winning me over. The talent is so good that even if he wins 7 games next year, I don't know that if there's going to be a lot of people on the fire Hugh Freeze train, I don't know that I'm going to be on it.
I'm not on. The only way I start having the fire Hugh Freeze conversation next season is if it's a 6-win or less.
It's got to be 6 wins or less, right? Yeah. But at 7, I don't know that I'm going to be on it. There's a part of me that wants to see him see this through with recruiting. I will question how much longer they can go recruiting at this level without.
Yes, if at 7 wins it starts to fall apart in the transfer portal, and then you follow that up with a poor recruiting class, then yes, different conversation. I just don't know that is, and this is where it becomes for me a lot more about, was it very clear that this team was poorly managed on the field? Like, it was just so blatant, like, oh my God, these are terrible coaching decisions that led to these losses, that even if you're recruiting this well, I don't know how you produce a winner because you've got all this talent, you're just not getting it done from a coaching standpoint. If it's, man, the ball bounced weird this game and you end up losing a close one here, like, it's not just about the win-loss total for me, even though I do think 6 wins is unacceptable. If it's at 7, it's going to be about who you lost to and how you lost those games.
Yeah, 7 is still a really hard conversation.
Yeah. I think you still lost a game. If you had 7 wins, you did lose a game you were supposed to win.
For sure. Yeah. But my point is that, because this is going to sound like I'm making competing statements here. My point is that even though at 7, I'm going to be like, what the hell?
Right.
That's how well they've recruited. They've recruited so well that it's still a question in my mind at 7 about whether there should be a change or not. Especially after the way that the first 2 years went. They've done such a good job in recruiting, and these talent levels. This is crazy. This is that wide receiver class. I saw somebody mention it in the comments here that had Nate Craig Myers, and I think it was Eli Stove and Kyle Davis and Ryan Smith. Like, it was a crazy it was a crazy wide receiver class, and I thought that was the beginning of something special, especially at the skill positions. And when Nate Craig Myers fell through, I think we ruined him. I don't care what anybody says. I don't think he was overrated. I think he was just ruined here and just never got back on his feet. It became hard, very hard to believe every time they got somebody at the wide receiver that, it was where Auburn was where highly rated offensive talent came to die.
Yeah.
I mean, I mean, if you don't agree, argue with the wall, man. Like, Bo is probably the greatest example of that. Bo, Nate Craig, all these guys that came through, good, highly rated offensive talent came here to die. And then you had these gems, these 3-star gems that nobody that would suddenly rise out of nowhere. I was having this conversation when we were talking about running backs. Ike and I did a breakdown running backs Friday, and Trey Mason. Look, we probably don't talk about him enough when we talk about the pantheon of great Auburn running backs, because it was just that 1 year, and God would have liked to see him come back for another year. But the offensive line, I would have liked to just see him come back for another year. Cameron Artis-Payne, I think, took over for him, right? Yeah. Was that Cap that came behind him? And he ran for 1,600 yards, right? He had a really good season, but you had these guys that were not. They were really good players, and they had great, like, one-off seasons. But where were the highly rated talent that left here in the conversation for best player in the country? Why is it always coming out of nowhere? Where is the guy with the expectations that lives up to the expectations? I get it. It's difficult. When you look around the country and you look at those guys like Quinn Ewers, right? Who is, had all the hype around him. I think he was like the best quarterback or second best player in his class or something like that. He went to Ohio State, sat the bench for a year, and then just transferred to Texas and was the dude.
Right.
That's how much of the dude he was. He went from Ohio State to Texas.
Yeah.
And it just started. Where are those guys? That's the level of talent that Auburn's bringing in right now. Now, they haven't gotten that guy at quarterback yet, but I'll be damned if Cam Coleman is a perfect example of that. An absolute dude in high school who came in, and it's no question he started. There was no, he's got to come along and he's got to learn the system. No, the time he signed, before the ink was dry, he was a starter. And he was a starter wherever he was going.
Yeah.
That's the level of talent that they're bringing in right now. And now we're sitting here, we're doing a start bench redshirt, and we're arguing that some guy, there's so much talent. The guy that we're talking about redshirting is a top 150 guy. Whereas at other schools right now within the SEC, those guys would definitely be solid backups, or the guys we're putting in the redshirt column would be starters at some schools.
Yeah.
In the Power Four. That's how good they've been at recruiting. It's absolutely changed the level of expectation that we have for what they can do, and it should raise their failure floor.
And let's be clear too, Mike. The guys that we're thinking that can be starters, they're not starters because Auburn needs a starter. They're starters because they are probably transcendent and are so good to where you have to put them on the field.
Yeah, they're better than everybody else at their position on the roster.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been the passions on either side of this for me have been really, really interesting to watch it on social media. I don't much engage with fans anymore, but outside of our patrons here and the people in our chat and those in our regular community. But I will tell you, I read and I lurk and I'm in the forums, and it's very interesting watching the discussions that are happening right now around this team. For the group of people who feel like he's got to get it done this year, I hear you. You are absolutely right. He absolutely does have to get it done this year. He has said as much to us directly. When we sat down with them, they're not running from the results being less than acceptable the first 2 years. But the talent floor, I mean, look, man, if Freeze is not going to be a true QB guru, just go out and get your dude at quarterback every year. And I'm good with it. If you need Cam Newton to run your system, recruit Cam Newton every year.
Yeah.
Go get that guy.
I mean, the Cam Newton situation is an interesting one, right? Because it's not like they recruited him out of high school. And that's the difficulty, is finding that guy out of high school and convincing him to be the guy for your team when you haven't proven that you've done much with quarterbacks to that point. He's got to have some successes in this run of head coaching here at Auburn, I think, because Deuce Knight seems like he's going to be a dude, right?
Yeah.
You can't screw up Deuce Knight and expect to go get another high-profile quarterback out of high school. Like, it's not going to work. You're not going to get Deuce Knights ever again if you screw up the one you have.
Yeah,
and so that's the challenge right now, is to figure out how to keep Deuce Knight patient enough by winning enough with Jackson Arnold until he takes over, and it's clear when he steps in that progressive chain and the plan that you had made sense, and he's ready to be the guy for you.
Yeah, look, Deuce is really good. Deuce is a guy. However, you got to do something with Jackson Arnold. Yeah. I'm not ready to have the Deuce Knight conversation. Guys, I'm not ready.
You're talking about this year? You're saying like him?
Yeah,
play?
yeah, yeah. I'm not ready.
No, if he has to play this year, then Jackson Arnold absolutely.
Yeah, something went wrong. Yeah, I'm not ready to have the Deuce Knight conversation. Deuce is supremely talented. It's nothing against him because somebody's going to go start a message board threads. Mike G said Deuce Knight is not good. No, he's really, really good. I want to see Hugh Freeze do something with Jackson Arnold because I believe that Jackson Arnold is good. I don't think he's a project. I just think I believe that Oklahoma was just a bad situation for Jackson Arnold. I think it was a bad fit at the wrong time with the wrong coach.
I think it was. I don't know, Mike. I think it was a good situation. I just think his OC left. Left.
It was the injuries really that killed it. Like him in that system. Or that system itself only works with the right talent around you. And he didn't have the guy. Like he was playing with guys that wouldn't start anywhere.
Yeah.
For the most part.
Well, what I'm saying, Ike, is when he was there was a lot of promise around Jackson Arnold because his OC was there. He left. He goes to a new situation. You have a new OC in. And then it goes to hell, right? Like injuries pile up. Your OC gets fired. Like he just got very unlucky last year, and I think in a better situation where you have Hugh Freeze, you have an O-line, you have receivers, you have talent around him. I expect Jackson Arnold to live up to a lot of the hype that he had coming out of high school. I agree with you, Mike. If he gets Jackson Arnold wrong, as good as Deuce Knight is, how confident are you in Hugh Freeze to keep things going after a Deuce Knight, a can't miss guy? Right?
Yeah.
Like,
right.
You have to get it right.
Good. Yeah.
Even if Deuce is good, it's almost like Cam Newton. After Cam Newton, we were in the dark ages until we got Nick Marshall. Hugh Freeze needs to prove that he can keep this going even when he gets a can't miss prospect.
But before you got to Nick Marshall, the coach had to get fired. So
that is true.
He's got it. I want to see Jackson Arnold thrive and succeed here at Auburn. I do. I want to see him play 2 years. I want Auburn to have 2 really good years where they're at least in the conversation for the college football playoff one of the years, and they make the playoff one of the years. And then I want to see the Deuce Knight era. It just would be nice to see a natural succession at quarterback. Texas is enjoying right now.
Yeah.
It happens to the best. Look, no matter how well you recruit, eventually you're gonna miss at quarterback. You're gonna have a guy who you're gonna start, and it's not gonna work out, and you're gonna have to bench. Georgia might be there, right? Like I don't know. I know they like Gunnar Stockton, but I'm not convinced that he is the dude. I don't know if Carson Beck was ever really the dude. I think he was a decent quarterback. But I don't even know if he was better than the walk-on that preceded him.
No. Yeah, at least not what he produced on the field, no.
Yeah.
I think Carson Beck's got more physical tools, but yeah, I don't think that he achieved at that level of just not even saying like championships, right? Because that's an easy part of saying about winning, losing. But I think that he turned the ball over way too much, and he just wasn't ever fully, I think, the guy that they hoped he would be there at quarterback for that team. So, and these guys, again, I'm not saying Carson Beck's not good. He is.
Yeah, their recruiting has been otherworldly. And look how iffy. I think that was probably the shakiest part of their team last year was QB play.
Yeah, that QB didn't reach his ceiling. He had a high ceiling, but he never reached it like his predecessor did.
So if they're not immune to it, and they're recruiting 1 million 5-stars every year, you've got to have a period of where you get this right. So we gave you 2 years with Robbie Ashford and Peyton Thorne and Hank Brown. Now you cleaned and Walker, you cleaned the QB slate, and you're back here. Defensively, we looked at a bunch of talented guys. I don't think there's not a ton of questions. The only question, we don't have any questions about whether those guys are good or not.
Right.
Right.
The question is, when is their time coming? Offensively, I think there are still some questions. Cam is the first player in a while to come through Auburn where there was just zero questions about whether he was actually good or not. If you are a top 5 overall player in high school, those guys are like your top 10 picks in the NFL draft, man. Those are supposed to be can't miss players. It's why we talk about Byron Cowart, in the lore of Auburn failures. Number 1 overall player coming out of high school. That's rated by a lot of people. And he transferred out. And he made an NFL roster, so he was good enough to go to the NFL. He couldn't do nothing at Auburn. Hugh Freeze is bringing in a level of talent where that conversation is starting to just go away. I think the emergence of Cam Coleman is giving guys that feeling. And then even with guys like Malcolm Simmons, top 150 overall guy, played his freshman year, you see this receiver core has a chance to really, really set the standard for what Auburn fans can expect in terms of the skill positions moving forward. They got so many dudes there. Bryce Kane, we asked the question, are we worried about any of these guys transferring out if they don't get time? On defense, not so much. On offense, hell yeah.
Yeah, because the offense has not been good, right? For whatever people think about the defense and how they weren't quote unquote elite or dominant, I don't think that there's a question that the defense was good. I think we would have to have a real conversation if you think that defense was bad last year. Granted, not elite. Offense, though, when it looked the way that it did at times, like completely inept at times, and you're that talented, no, you don't want to continue to play in that. It's like, I'm not getting playing time. Like, we suck offensively, and I'm not playing.
Right.
Yeah, I'm not staying here.
Yeah.
You're losing games because of how bad you're playing offensively.
Hey, nobody's complaining about sitting behind Cam Coleman, right?
Right.
Or Keandre Lambert-Smith. They're starting to hit. Now just get a hit at quarterback and that's it. And keep it pushing. Yeah. They one hit at quarterback this year with the skill positions that they have. And good God Almighty, they have a chance to do something special. They're teetering on it right now. It's why kind of when we talk about 2012 and how bad that team was in terms of results, you bring in Nick Marshall, right? And suddenly they're a championship level team. Remember, the win versus LSU midseason was kind of the catalyst for, the loss to LSU, right? Yeah. Was the catalyst for that. They had a really good second half, and it looks like Auburn started to find something in the second half. And we didn't stop talking about that something until they got to Pasadena. Yeah. But, the level of talent that they had was just, they were one player away. That's what 2013 was. They were one player and a system away from a national title appearance. I'm not saying that Auburn is one player away from a national title this year. But I will say, I do think they're one good quarterback away from a playoff appearance. And that's not saying I don't think that's a hot take.
Listen, if you get a quality starting quarterback, you put yourself in a different conversation for every game. Like I did the film review yesterday. For those of you Green Name Gang, I went and did a film review on Stanford quarterback Ashton Daniels, right? And I looked at the game versus Syracuse, and I looked at that game, and he played up and down that game, had a couple of interceptions, but they were down late in that game. And the final drive, he made some throws where I was like, yeah, okay. And for me, it gave me so much more confidence in him as a quality backup quarterback for Auburn because he made the mistakes. I can say, okay, he's not ready to be a starter. But man, the moxie he showed on that last drive to get them in field goal range, to put them in position to win that game, I was like, I haven't watched that in an Auburn uniform in a while where you need it. You're down. There's less than 2 minutes left in the game. You have to drive the field and get into field goal position. And the quarterback was making throws. Like the final back shoulder throw he made on 4th down to get them down inside the 20 to get them in field goal range. I was like, he absolutely ripped that throw. And I was like, yo, this is, I need to see this in an Auburn uniform soon. And so again, when you have a quarterback that has a level of just something to him, you're never really done. You're not done in a game.
Yeah. I think Jackson Arnold has enough of that. Right. I believe he's a very good quarterback. Now, I'm maybe a little unclear on what his ceiling is, but I don't think that his ceiling is high enough that he should be able to have Auburn in playoff contention as long as play calling and all other factors line up.
Right.
Yeah.
He absolutely has the talent to be able to take him there. Again, the question is, do the things around him handcuff him or allow him to, because it then becomes about how low is his floor really, right? Like it's difficult for me to say his floor is what you saw at Oklahoma last year because it seems as if they snatched the floor from under him and he was like free falling. So when you don't have a stable ground, that's not really a good way to judge the floor. He's got a much more stable ground right now. The question is the worst version of Jackson Arnold with all of this stuff around him good enough for 8 wins? That's really the conversation we have this year about Auburn. The worst version of Jackson Arnold with stability around him, is it good enough to get you 8 wins this season?
Well, we on our Friday segment, Auburn Express segment, we reviewed the things around them. We did wide receivers. We just did running backs. We talked about the O-line. I don't think we've gotten a tight end yet, but certainly if those 3 things that I just mentioned, wide receivers, O-line, running backs, are where they need to be, then he should have a very safe floor. Yeah. For when he's not having a great game, to be able to hand it off. Auburn should be able to, ground and pound essentially with anybody in the league, at least for a period of time. And if they can raise their level of play, or, the sad thing, like Jarquez ran for 1,200 yards last year. And I think that if this passing game evolves and becomes better, that Damari Alston and Jeremiah Cobb should have a much easier time moving the ball on the ground with a legitimate passing threat at their disposal.
Right.
Both those guys can catch the ball out of the backfield. They can make moves. They can run you over. Damari's worked on his speed this offseason. Jeremiah Cobb's very fast as well, too. Look, I just think that the floor is definitely raising. And if you can raise the coaching floor as well, let's be real. Most people are, again, if you've been watching, all the coaching discrepancies well documented. No more of that stuff with Peyton and Hugh, whatever that was at Georgia, where they're both in front of the media, kind of throwing each other under the bus. I don't want to see any of that. Just want to see these guys go out, play football, win the games that you're supposed to win, and don't lose the ones that you're not supposed to lose.
Right.
Super favor. I've kept this graphic in here for this reason because I want to remind people weekly that this schedule sets up really, really nice for them. I'm not saying there's a difference between saying Auburn has an easy schedule and saying that the schedule is easier than ones they've had in the past. I'm telling you that this schedule is easier than ones they've had in the past. Flat out, right? Baylor, Ball State, South Alabama, Oklahoma, Texas A&M, Georgia. God, if you could just get one of those first 3 SEC games, The orange are away, and for our listeners, and the blue is home. One of those first SEC games between Oklahoma and Georgia, Auburn could be 4-2 coming out of the first half of the season. Then
there's
Missouri.
a guy on our Instagram right now that is a fan of South Alabama who thinks that South Alabama is going to pull the upset.
Oh, good for him. You know, look, man, I believed in fairy tales at some point in my life as well, too. So I'll get out down on them. Missouri, Arkansas, Kentucky, Vandy, Mercer. I'm going to say that again. Missouri, Arkansas, Kentucky, Vandy, Mercer. I cannot remember a more winnable stretch of football games than that. 5 straight. If you're Auburn, right now, there's none of the you beat. Look, Vandy, I get Vandy beat Alabama last year. So, it's what they did last year was anomalous. I'm not expecting it again. If you're Auburn, you're a better team than them, and you should win. Kentucky, you beat. Jarquez ran for almost 300 yards on them. Arkansas, they maybe have one of the best 4 quarterbacks in the conference this year, Taylor Green. Missouri replaces a lot. Obviously Mercer should be a win. Guys, at worst, you should be 4-1 in that stretch in my book. And if not this year, then when? I don't understand. It's hard not to be optimistic looking at this. They just have to manage the first 6 games of the season. Mm-hmm. If they get out of Waco with a win, things are going to be looking. You're going to see Auburn shoot up a lot of charts really, really quickly. They're going to win their next 2. And then, like I said, 1-2 over the next 3 games.
Yeah, you get a split at Oklahoma or A&M. You're in good shape.
You're in good shape. Just get 1 road game. I'm gonna call Georgia an L for now, even though I'm not confident that Georgia is going to be as formidable offensively as they've been in the past. But man, Auburn wasn't out of that Georgia game last year going into the 4th quarter. 10 points, and they had the ball at midfield. So we talked to defense today, and I'm confident in what they'll be able to do. I think that they will improve year over year. I don't think that there's any precedent to say they were pretty good under Ron Roberts as well too. DJ Durkin was a very good hire in the offseason. Auburn made him the 2nd highest paid assistant in the country because it's clear that he's developing something special on that side of the ball. And they're giving him the tools to do it. But this year is the year we should see a leap forward for Auburn. I don't know how big that leap is. It could be, I'm telling you, I think they have the talent to make the playoff. I believe they have enough talent to make the playoff. Other teams, I'm not confident in saying that they will because I think other teams will have a say in whether they make it or not. Everybody else is trying to get better too.
Yeah.
How well are those teams doing at getting better? And how much better are they at it than you? Those are the questions that will get answered as the season develops. If Auburn can stay healthy, injuries will have its say in who's still standing come midseason and what their outlook over the back half of the season is. But if South Carolina can do what they did last year, it's crazy. How optimistic are people about South Carolina? Is what they did sustainable? Did they just have a really good run, or are they truly building something? Here's the thing: Shane Beamer's been there long enough that I'm not sure a lot of people are buying that they're building something special in South Carolina after last year. I think they just had a really good run.
People, when you've got a quarterback that can make plays, though, it changed the math. And
for sure,
that quarterback puts you in a different kind of conversation. The question for me for South Carolina is going to be about their defense and whether or not they're going to be as good defensively.
Right. Yeah, they were really good. Hats off to them. They were really good defensively last year. But I'm not sure I'm buying they got something cooking in Columbia. It's good. It's a good run. They had a good run. right?
Time will
They
tell.
are more likely to go backwards from what they did last year than they are to move forward.
Yeah.
Auburn has a really, really good chance to move it forward this year. And with the base of recruiting being so good, you can sell that they're building something. They just have to show it this year in the win-loss column.
Agreed.
They were doing it last year too. And for what it's worth, I think that this staff kind of intentionally put themselves in the position they were last year because they felt like they were more than a quarterback away from having the sort of roster that they needed to compete for championships. So they took kind of a tepid approach to quarterback in the portal. They didn't go after Cam Ward as hard as maybe they could have. And they saved the money and they put it in other spots. Now you're in a place where you've got you've done it. You did exactly. Now you put all the money. If you're one player away, go get the bag and drop it right on that dude's head. Don't let him get away. You put all the other pieces in place, and they kept a impressive amount of that talent. Every offseason, rumors are going to start to swirl about guys hitting the portal and wanting to get out of here. High-level recruiting, high-level attrition. Just get used to it. But they've got so many guys now. I just think when guys hit the portal, you don't have to freak out anymore.
Yeah, unless it's a mass exodus, right? If it's one or two guys, okay, you've got some guys. But if you're losing 30 guys from your team, then yeah, man, it's a different conversation that you're in.
Right.
The only thing causing a mass exodus now is a coaching change, I think. So you've just got to feel the results. That's it. Right. And the reason why I put it on coaching changes because if the results aren't there, right, like I think the not getting the results and the coaching change kind of go hand in hand. Right. So it's that's how you get to a coaching change. They've got the pieces. This is starting as we go position group by position group. It's becoming very evident how talented they are. And, some people may feel like, oh, you guys are putting a lot of pressure on them to do this. And I'm like, look, man, nothing we say changes the math for the staff.
I was about to say, people give way too much credit to stuff that we say as far as how it impacts the guys on this team and their thoughts and this. Like, yes, we have conversations with them, but the conversations we're having are not any different than the conversations they should be having themselves around what the expectation should be.
Absolutely.
They know that the pressure is on for this year. And, if you're the type of person that likes to hide their head in the sand until they win, good for you. I've never been that person, so I'm not ever going to do that. Right. Like and if you're hesitant and you see like, I need to see it first. Okay. I get that. I understand that. But they know that to be a consistent winner, you have to play with this pressure on you consistently.
Absolutely.
You have to play with people projecting that you're going to be good. That's the Alabama, Texas, Georgia problem that they've had the last few years. Clemson, those guys have had to go out and win with expectations clearly on them.
Right.
Stop coming to the comment section telling me to downplay it. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to call it what it is at the time. It's just super.
You're not even saying they got to be a 10-win team. Like you're just saying.
Yeah, it's like, when we get excited about guys, there's always somebody in there that's like, see, you guys do this and then they didn't do. Okay, whatever, man.
Yeah.
Those guys know
I get confused why people don't want us to be excited about Auburn players.
I don't understand.
That's a very confusing thing. Why do you like this guy? Because he's good. I don't know.
Yeah, as if the player's gonna come back and be like, Mike G, I can't believe you believed in me.
They're just gonna come back to the comment section and be like, "This is the guy you were hyping up, and he wasn't any good." And it's like, okay, I thought he was gonna be good. I'm sorry. There's a bunch of people who you guys have been selling to me that are gonna be amazing, and I ain't believing it.
Yeah, that's right. So
anyway, let's get to these comments before we get out of here, man. We're running long here. Dustin Pace jumps in, says the question of the roster talent is so far gone. Unless I'm playing a video game, it's hard to make a roster much better than this unless we're winning.
Yeah, that's facts.
Start winning, and it becomes a lot easier to continue to stack that stuff up.
Yeah.
Lawrence earlier says Ike low-key throwing some more Big Cat Bryant shade. That was not low-key.
I forgot about that. I
did not. I just didn't say his name. C Hall, let these hit the field and somebody's going to make a play. And this is the eternal Hugh Freeze argument of, if you have enough talent, your margin for error increases, right? And so sometimes, you don't make the right call, but you have amazing athletes out there on the field and they make it right. They get you right even when you're wrong. I didn't call the right play, but by God, that guy's just a dude. And he went out there and made a play, and we were in a very different situation because of him. Ant Robinson thinks that JJ Faulk will play Buck before it's over. I think he can be a definite pass rush threat out there. TK says, I'm going to say Crawford makes the biggest impact amongst many. He's a ridiculous size and talent and has been here since January.
Not mad at it.
Going back to Nick Coe and Big Cat when I was making the comment about the edge guys not being able to flourish with all the attention that was happening on the interior defensive line. Anthony Long says, all offseason, Mike G has been saying that this schedule, if Auburn is 7-5, then something went terribly wrong. Don't change up now. 7-5, let Freeze go. Yeah, Again, I've never been in the fire Hugh Freeze at 7 wins camp, and I'm not going to start there.
Yeah, look, I do stand by it. I stand on my statement. At 7-5, you probably lost a game that you weren't supposed to lose. However, with the level of talent, the level of talent that they're bringing in here, it's just going to be really hard. Especially if they're trending for another like top 10 class, I want to see the coach go. It is. So it is very difficult. I understand what Anthony's saying here about why that might sound like a switch up, but
but here's the thing. I don't think anything's wrong with changing your opinion on something though.
Yeah. I haven't necessarily changed my opinion though. I'm just saying like, because I was never firmly fire Hugh Freeze at 7-5.
Right.
I just said,
you said the conversation gets started.
Yeah. The conversation definitely is fair at 7-5.
Yeah.
And Freeze seems to think, well, how do we get to 7-5? And I'm like, I don't really think it matters how you got to 7-5, but this year because of how the first 2 years went. I just think it's a no excuses, go out, win 8 games kind of deal, or just be prepared for the conversation of people wanting you going. Yeah. And the thing that will continue to save him in year 3 for one more year will be recruiting if he's holding it together.
Agreed. Ant Robinson, hot take. I don't see a loss on this schedule, to be honest, especially if Jackson Arnold plays like he did in the bowl game. Nobody has the same QB from last year. That makes a big difference. And I think what he's saying here is every one of these games is winnable because everybody's got questions on the rosters that Auburn is going up against.
Yeah.
Except, honestly, Baylor is the only team that's coming back with a lot of the guys that they had from last year. But once you get past Baylor in Power 4 contests, you're talking about a ton of turnover. Texas A&M is starting the same quarterback year over year. Vanderbilt starting the same quarterback year over year. Those teams are going to be more equipped to build on what they had last year, but you lost a lot of stuff around Diego Pavia that he had last year at Vanderbilt. Texas A&M is still, they're in year 2 of their experiment with their new coach and whether or not he's going to be a guy that can get it done at this level. I concede that is a solid point, especially when you're talking about the Georgia and Alabama situations. But yeah, it's going to be a schedule again that you have the ability to get dubs in, and you just got to go out there and make it happen.
Yep. Yeah. Facts.
Dustin says, I know Mike G is going to think this is a crazy take, but y'all, Georgia is the most gettable of that 3-game stretch. I'm giving no benefit of the doubt after what I saw from them last season. I think I said this much yesterday.
Take.
Yeah, I think I actually said this yesterday. We were on office hours, and somebody asked me this question to rank from most difficult to easiest, and I put Georgia as the one that's because it's the home game of those three. I do believe that Georgia is the game that possibly could be the dub of those three. Because I think that Oklahoma game is going to be the most difficult because it's going to be your first SEC road game for Jackson Arnold back at his old building. I think all of those factors there make that a very tough game. And because Texas A&M is on the road with a quarterback that they just went to quadruple overtime with last year, and he's going to be in his own building another year in that system, I think that's going to be a difficult road game because Texas A&M is a difficult road environment to begin with. So I don't disagree that this is, of those three, maybe the most gettable, and that's crazy to say because it's Georgia.
That's a tough schedule Georgia has this upcoming season. They have a pretty tough schedule before they even play us in Jordan here. They would have played Tennessee on the road, Bama at home, and we'll play Kentucky right before the Auburn game. So they will be in their fair share of battles by the time that they come to Jordan here.
Yeah. I don't think this is that crazy, but we'll see as the game gets closer and what Georgia looks like this year. I've got a bunch of questions about them right now.
Georgia could be a 3-loss team. By the end of the regular season, they got to play Texas. They play Florida. This could be interesting for them.
The elimination of divisions has opened the door to spread around some of that Georgia scheduling love that you know what I mean? They've had some pretty easy schedules comparative to their SEC brethren, and so while they're really good, they've had less landmines to step on along the way in terms of their scheduling than other SEC teams. And this is what I'm telling you about Auburn's schedule this year. I think Auburn got a very Georgia-like schedule, like Kentucky and Vandy in the same year.
Yeah,
that would have never happened when we had divisions.
Oh, yeah, no, because your one crossover was always going to be Georgia, and then you would just get one of the other teams in the East.
Yeah,
You'd never get both of those.
No Ole Miss, no LSU landmine to step on. All right, like, come on, man. This is now the rest of us get a chance to get that kind of schedule.
Yeah,
I would like to see a little less Texas A&M on the show, and I would like to see a little more Florida in the future. Personally, I would like to see Auburn play Florida a little bit more. But yeah, I don't know, man. I don't think that's a crazy statement. I don't think that's a crazy statement.
Yeah. All right, y'all. Let's get out of here. Good conversation today. Great talent headed to a football field wearing orange and blue in Nike uniforms near you coming up for this coming season. And go out there and support Auburn baseball happening today. Got a chance to clinch, get into a super regional if they get the dub today. So hopefully you guys check out some Auburn baseball. But Mike G, tell people ways they can support what we got going on, man.
You guys know the deal. I want to thank our title sponsor, Golden's Cast Iron. Visit goldenscastiron.com/WR. Use code Get Your Weight Up for 15% off your weights and code TWR for $65 off fire pits and Kamado grills. Golden's Cast Iron. Workout, grill out, chill out with Golden's Cast Iron. Visit the Rogue Shop at rogueshop.com. Use code Rapport to get 15% off your Rogue Shop order. We appreciate them for sponsoring this segment. Also, check us out on podcasts, all the podcast platforms. We are there. The Auburn Express, Uptempo, College Loop, and Just a Sec pods, bringing you guys lots of great audio-only content. Visit our merch store at thewarreport.com and get your War Report merch today. Great way to support our channel. As always, we appreciate our members. If you have not, please do so. Just smash that join button. $5.99 a month will get you there. SEC Media Days is on the way. We will be there in Atlanta all week, bringing you guys lots of great content. So you want to be on board for that. We're going to have some special chats and some good things for our members coming out of Atlanta this year. So support the work that we're doing by becoming a member, and we'll see you guys in Atlanta.
Yes, indeed. Before you get out of here, make sure that you are sharing the video with somebody at the Rapport. Make sure that you like the video, give us that thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, both completely free things. Turn on your notifications so you know when we're going live, both in the YouTube app and on your phone, to make sure that those notifications are getting there to you. You can follow us at the Rapport on X and Instagram. We are TW Rapport on TikTok. We're going to get out of here, but we got more great Auburn Express content coming for you this week, more great film review for the Green Name Gang, all of that. But until the next time, and as always, War Eagle.